Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Flowers of Mold, Stories by Seong-Nan, translated by Janet Hong, narrated by Cindy Kay and David Shih. Waxen Wings. Your watch stopped at 3:14. The second hand fell off when the glass cover shattered. Within minutes, you were unconscious. During what seemed like a nap that went on a little longer than usual, the seasons changed in the front lawn, right below your hospital room window. When you could walk on your own, you pushed the IV stand out onto the lawn and sat in the sun. Sometimes you glanced at your watch as if waiting for someone. It was always 3:14. From the lawn, you had a clear view down to the main entrance. The gate was always crowded with ambulances and visitors bearing gifts. But the girl who looked about nervously while picking her way through the bustle caught your eye. She walked not on the sidewalk, but up the middle of the road, with a large backpack and a shoe bag. Ambulances with their patients and taxis with their passengers passed through her and sped away. Each time, the girl went fuzzy like an image on a television set with poor reception. From where you sat, you waited for that little girl. Leaping through a hole in time, a 10-year-old you came mirage-like to visit the you who is now 27. You, 10 years old, are cutting across the school field. You're alone again, unable to tag along with the others. They had burst outside, crashing into you in their rush, while you were still in your indoor shoes. They're probably hanging around the snack stand, the comic book shop, or the stationery store in front of the school right now. You're shorter than the other girls your age by almost a foot. When you're standing next to them, your small size becomes even more obvious. You look maybe 6 or 7 at the most. The kids in your class call you Birdie. Your backpack straps dig into your shoulders, and the shoe bag drags on the dirt, leaving a lazy, winding trail. The abandoned field looks all the more vast today. You've never cut across it before. You prefer walking along its fringes in the shadow of the school building. Already you feel it's too much. Never again will you cut across another field, hotel lobby, or lounge. You had taken the shortcut in your haste to catch up with the others, but your steps lag. You finally make it to the school gate, but lack the courage to step out and talk to them. You walk toward the playground where rainbow-colored tires protrude from the ground. The swing is swaying gently, as if someone has just been on it. You sit on the wooden seat without taking off your backpack. As you trail your toes in the dirt, the swing starts to move. You cast off your bags and kick your feet in the air. Back and forth you go, like seaweed rolling on the waves. Soon your seat goes up as high as the metal crossbeam from where the chains hang, and your body becomes parallel to the ground. You're covered with sweat, and your mouth is pasty. One day, after pumping yourself up as high as the beam, you let go of the chains. Freed from the swing, your body soars, only for the briefest moment. But you feel as though you're flying. If not for the law of gravity, you would have risen into the air, past the leaves of the sycamores flanking the field, and disappeared beyond the 5-story school building. But like Newton's apple, your small, light body is pulled to earth, and you land deftly on the sand. Soon enough, you learn your hang time. The time you're able to remain airborne is a little longer than the other children's. The other kids on the swings try to copy you and jump in midair. But no sooner have they jumped than they tumble onto the sand. By now, you can even pick a spot to alight on while you're pumping your legs. Where you've landed, there are prints, as neat and clearly etched as a bird's. While others move on to the adventure playground and seesaw, You stay on the swings, thinking of different ways to make a bigger jump, to hover longer in the air. But in the end, you curl up in midair and do a somersault. In a flash, all the kids abandon their games and gather around you. Hey, that's easy. I can do that too. A jealous classmate tries to copy you and jumps from the swings, but she lands head first and begins to howl through her sand-filled mouth. Her nose is bleeding, and her face is scratched up. Your homeroom teacher comes running. This is very dangerous. Who started this? All at once, every gaze is directed at you, but now the eyes are cold. After this incident, you never see anyone jump from the swings, at least not on the school playground. You don't go near the swings again. Teacher, I want to fly, but the ground keeps pulling me down. You sit, facing your teacher in the empty classroom after everyone has gone home. For the first time, she looks at you very closely. What a small child, she thinks. She recalls the woolen dress she recently bought. It had accidentally shrunk in the wash. Every feature is smaller on this child, just like the shrunken dress. Suddenly, an uneasy thought flashes across her mind. This child who wants to fly. What if she decides to take flight from a rooftop? The teacher shakes her head as if to dislodge this disturbing thought. But in her mind, you keep falling from the school roof. The teacher looks into your small eyes and speaks, emphasizing each word. I want you to listen very carefully. Only birds can fly. It's impossible for people to fly. You're just able to stay in the air a little longer, that's all. Can you tell your mother to come see me? Your mother comes home from work at 7 o'clock every night, and if she misses even a single day, she'll lose 3 days' pay. For lack of anything better, your teacher makes you write, "People cannot fly," over and over again on the chalkboard. Because you're so small, your writing reaches only halfway up the board. The teacher stands behind you and thinks, so that's why they call you Birdie. When you enter middle school, you push aside the thoughts of flying. You're too old to play on the swings, and you're no longer naive enough to confess your desire to fly. You learn more about this gravity that keeps pulling you down. Back then, it was the trend among students to write famous quotes on the covers of their notebooks. But instead of writing something like, "Even if I knew that tomorrow the world would go to pieces, I would still plant my apple tree," you write, "The force of gravity between two objects is directly proportional to the product of their masses, and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them." You believe if people could escape the confines of gravity, they could fly like birds. However, you find even the task of simplifying the law of gravity difficult. You're still smaller than the other girls. The average height of a middle school girl then was 5'2", but you're a mere 4'9". One day, the PE teacher tells you to go to the gym just as you're about to walk into your classroom. The small indoor gym feels like the inside of a fridge. You shiver from the cold. A voice rings out from the dark. "So you're the girl the PE teacher mentioned. Come over here." You hesitate because of the thick exercise mats on the floor. "It's okay, just walk across with your shoes on, but it'll be the last time." You keep stumbling on the padded mats. A young woman with short hair is sitting on a vault. In her hand is a long stick that touches the ground. Although it's March and still cold outside, her legs exposed below her short skirt are bare. On her small, dangling feet are kid-size indoor shoes. "Shall we have a look?" She hops down. Up close, she's much smaller than you had guessed. From now on, as soon as you're dismissed from school, you run straight to the gym. There, no one calls you Birdie. Everyone is small like you. You finally feel at peace. You put the vault into position for the older students and clean the gym after practice. On sunny days, you drag all the mats outside to air them out. Since your school sits on top of a hill, you can see them spread out in front of the gym, even from the bus stop at the bottom of the hill. The glare from the light hitting the mats turns the gym into a snow-capped peak. Practice starts with front and back rolls, then the splits. When you sit with your legs spread apart, straining to do the splits, the coach instructs the older students to sit on your shoulders. If you cry out, the coach jabs you in the stomach with her stick. The tender flesh around your groin turns black and blue. You wear the same leotard as the other gymnasts, but you're so scrawny the leotard keeps riding up to reveal the cheeks of your small bottom. You get home later and later. Now it's your mother who waits up for you. She buys you a wristwatch, but your wrist is so small you have to punch a new hole in the strap. Summer comes and you practice your vaults. You don't take off the watch, even though the sweat that collects under the leather band makes your skin swell, leaving a pale strip around your wrist. While you perform your endless tumbles, autumn changes to winter, and winter changes to spring. Your first period still hasn't come. You've noticed every month that the girl sitting next to you in class sneaks a hand into her bag, whisks out a mysterious object, hides it in the folds of her clothes, and then slips away to the bathroom. Neither do you show the usual signs of sexual maturity. You have no habits common to middle school girls, like pulling down a bra that keeps riding up. And there are no photos of golden-haired boys, singers, and movie stars in your bag. On your way to the gym after school, you see the other girls flock to the TV station to watch a broadcast on the large screen outside. They've never even heard of the people you follow, like Nadia Comaneci and Nellie Kim. Because of practices and meets, there are many days when your desk is empty. For this reason, you gain the envy of others. In 8th grade, you start watching a girl named Yun-Hui, a 10th grader, and already the sole representative at the national games, where she won the gold in the balance beam. When Yun-Hui does a demonstration on the beam, you study her every move. You can tell she's special, just from the way she mounts the beam. Instead of placing the springboard at the end like the other gymnasts, she positions it alongside the beam. She does her approach run, jumps, and then lands doing the splits on a surface only 4 inches wide. Even though you're still learning the basics, you sometimes go up to the beam when no one is around. Every time you take a step, you have to flap your arms like a bird to keep your balance. Like Young-Hui, you grow out your hair and pull it back into a knot at the crown of your head. You need a dozen bobby pins to anchor the willful strands. With your hair pulled back so severely, your eyebrows and the corners of your eyes yank up, making you look always angry. Your event is the uneven bars. When you soar between the 8 and 5 foot bars, your small size and long hang time become very clear. But when you try to keep yourself straight during the handstand, your arms keep shaking. Full turn after cast handstand, swing to low bar, then transfer to high bar. But your hands slip and you fall to the mat. Every time this happens, the coach's long stick jabs your stomach. As further punishment, you have to do an hour-long handstand in the middle of the gym. If you fall over or break your form, you have to start all over again. Blood pumps down into your face, and your arms start to wobble uncontrollably. Bare legs, some pale, others reddish or sallow, pass by, and an occasional sarcastic remark is tossed your way. A pair of pale, slender legs stops before you. The calves and thighs visible above the leg warmers are covered with dark purple bruises. You raise your blood-gorged face. It's Yun-Hui. Because it's Yunhui, your face turns even redder. With handstands, try to forget you're holding up your body and pretend it's the ground instead you're holding up. It works for me. Your landing earlier was really impressive, by the way. You don't see Yunhui at the gym anymore. She was selected for the Asian Games, and so she's moved to the athletes' village. Every night, you write her a letter. You lose interest in going to the gym. For being late, you have to do leapfrogs and handstands, or hang from the bar. You see a photo of Yunhui in the sports section, in a feature on athletes to watch in the Asian Games. You're confident, of course. But so is your coach, that Yunhui will receive a medal. But when the news arrives, it's not about medals. Yunhui has had an accident. She took a bad fall in practice, damaged her spinal cord, and became paralyzed from the neck down. Yunhui doesn't come back to school. Now, you no longer struggle to keep your body straight when doing a handstand on the bar. After a full turn on the high bar, you can pull off 2.5 flips before you land. You recall how you used to go on the swing as a 10-year-old. Once again, the desire to fly takes hold, and the familiar battle against gravity begins. In 9th grade, you become the star athlete of your school. By now, you have your own peculiar way of walking. Body straight, chin and heels raised high. Once, you skip practice and visit Yunhui, who had remained in the hospital after the accident. It's lunchtime when you arrive. A middle-aged woman, who appears to be her mother, tries to feed her, but she clamps her mouth shut. After attempting to pry Yunhui's mouth open with the spoon, the woman smacks her daughter on the head. Yunhui falls across the bed and her face is buried in the pillow, but she cannot get up. The mother starts to weep. She pulls her daughter up and places a pillow behind her back. The girl who is leaning pathetically against the bed frame is not the Yunhui you knew. She is plump and white. Even her wrists peeping out from the cuffs of her hospital gown are covered with fat folds, like silkworms. Her hair, which used to be pulled back in a neat knot, is cut so short it leaves her ears exposed. You go home without entering the ward. That day, you cut your hair short. Because you skipped practice and cut your hair, your coach yells at you while jabbing your stomach with her stick. You have to clean the gym, a lowly job reserved for 7th graders, and you stay behind, practicing well into the night to make up for missing practice. You keep falling off the uneven bars and run toward the springboard, only to stop and repeat the approach run. Once on the vault, before you can take a step, you tumble to the mat. All of a sudden, there are sharp pains in your stomach, as if your coach is jabbing you with her stick. It's your first period. In high school, the routine is the same. You still go to the gym. You still train under the coach with the bare legs. When there's a tournament coming up, you don't go to class. Swing, support, release. While you repeat these steps, the bruises on your body multiply. Countless times a day, you squeeze the rosin bag with your calloused hands. Even though you chalk just your hands, there are white handprints on your leotard, legs, and arms, as if someone slapped you. Menthol sports rubs are now your perfume. Your face is angular, and your torso is taken on the shape of an inverted triangle. You unfasten your watch. When you put the pin through the next hole in the strap, an ominous feeling comes over you. You're at the Seoul tryouts for the national games to perform your uneven bars routine. There, your premonition becomes a reality. You could have done the routine with your eyes closed. Swing from low bar to high bar, grip, then cast a handstand, hold, release and catch bar 3 times in a row, somersault, and catch bar again. The routine was as familiar to you as breathing. But instead of catching the bar again, you clutch at air and fall helplessly to the mat. To finish your performance, you take hold of the bar again, in the hope of making up for your deductions. You become too ambitious and attempt a triple somersault instead of a 2.5 for your dismount. You've been practicing the triple salto on your own, but making it barely 2 times out of 10. You release the bar and flip 3 times in the air. Instead of landing on both feet, you plant your rear end on the mat. You receive a 7.8 out of a perfect 10. A student from another school becomes the sole representative. At school, you sit at the very front of the classroom. You copy down the math problems from the chalkboard, but because of your frequent absences, you can't understand any of the questions. Just then, the student behind you pokes you in the back with a pencil. "Hey, you mind lowering your head a little? I can't see the board." In half a year, you've grown nearly 5 inches. You're now the tallest on your team. Before you can manage 2 flips for your dismount, you land on your bottom. Your rear end, somehow having filled out, hits the mat with a dull thud, like a ripe persimmon bursting as it plops to the ground. The other gymnasts laugh. Once again, people start to call you Birdie, but this time it's for a different reason. Every day you stay late to practice on your own, but even hanging from a bar becomes difficult because of the weight you've put on. The girl from your childhood, the one who fell face first from the swings, comes to mind. You keep falling off, and each time you chalk up, spit into your hands, then leap up into the bars again. You even run out of saliva to spit into your hands. The gymnastics equipment is spread out around you. You find yourself thinking more and more about falling off than climbing on. The coach calls out to you as you're about to remove your shoes. "Don't bother, I just need to see you for a minute." You realize at some point you've started to tower over her. You recall the first day you met her. Since then, she's gotten married and become the mother of 2, but she hasn't changed a bit. She's bare-legged as always and dressed in a short skirt. She taps the springboard with her stick. "What in the world are you eating? Did somebody come up with a magic growth pill? Who would have guessed you'd shoot up like a bean sprout overnight?" Her voice echoes in the gym. She's the one who's angry. You stand in front of her with your head hanging down, as if you've actually eaten something you shouldn't have. "I've seen cases where people had to quit because of an injury to their Achilles tendon or spinal cord, but never something like this. Maybe it's better this way. After all, a gymnast's career is so short." As you shove open the gym door, the coach calls out to you one last time. "Study hard, all right?" Walking down the hill, you consider your options. Your palms smelled of rosin and spit, no matter how often you scrubbed them with soap. And you felt more comfortable with the uneven bars, vault and balance beam, than with math, English, and Korean. You and your coach had believed you were done growing. Never, in your wildest dreams, had you imagined you would be tall one day. You return to your 11th grade classroom. It's almost midnight when you get home after the review sessions. You take out your old textbook from 10th grade, but it's scarcely any easier. You occasionally go to the gym to practice. When you make a mistake, the coach no longer comes running. You don't even get in trouble. Sometimes you walk up to the gym door, but end up circling the building, unable to go inside. The orange glow coming through the window seems inviting. You stand outside, listening to the sounds of practice, the thump of bodies hitting the mats, the gymnast's spirited cries, and the coach's fierce voice. And then you head home. Dressed in a tracksuit with your gym bag in hand, you stand in front of Changyong Palace. To this day, you still don't understand why you went there. You probably remembered the zoo from childhood, but it's been moved to a new location. While you wait for the palace doors to open, you eat a corn dog and some fish cake soup. At the break of dawn, you're the lone visitor. A few times, you walk slowly past Changyong, then across the bridge toward Chundok Palace and back. You're joined by a crowd of Japanese tourists who chat nearby in their language like the whine of mosquitoes. You sit on a bench in front of an old hut, an area most people don't seek. A flock of pigeons swoops down and pecks at the ground. You buy a bag of popcorn at the concession. A swarm chases after every handful of popcorn you throw. One is missing a left toe, and another has a sty in its eye. There's also one standing motionless in the same spot, blinking very slowly, while the other pigeons surge greedily. You watch this pigeon. The PA system announces its closing time. You grab your bag and are about to get up when the pigeon you've been watching collapses. For the first time in your life, you witness the moment life escapes from a living thing. All the visitors leave, but you continue to stand there, even after the concession clerks have gone home. The sun starts to set, and everything quickly grows dark. All the pigeons have flown off except for the one by your feet. Rigor mortis has set in. You open your bag to find something to dig with, but find only your leotard, a roll-on muscle relaxant, a notebook, and some pens. You start to dig with your pen, but it breaks. You use your fingers instead and dig a small hole. Blood forms under your dirt-filled fingernails. You shroud the pigeon in your leotard, lay it to rest in the hole, cover it up with dirt, and pat it down with your foot. 2 security guards walk towards you. Before they see you, you scramble up onto the old hut behind the bench. The guards' flashlights move away. Sitting on the tiled roof, you gaze out into the woods, toward the lake and the bridge, but all you see are different shades of darkness. You peer at shadows to guess where the zoo used to be. From the top of the roof, you watch the sun come up. You climb down and walk toward the main entrance, but it's closed. For you, climbing over the Chungyong Palace wall is a piece of cake. You miss a day of school, but nobody notices, since it's more common for you to be absent. You no longer go to the gym. Around this time, you hear Yunhui has entered a seminary. By the time you're off the gymnastics team for good, you've grown even more. You're now 5'5". Your old watch stops often now. "Excuse me, miss, do you have the time?" You're on your way back from the bank, where you'd gone to make a deposit before closing time. You help with the accounts in an apartment manager's office. 6 years older, and a graduate of a trade high school, the bookkeeper you work for always dawdles and finishes her work only when the bank is about to close, making you run every day. The way back takes twice as long. "Miss, what's the time, please?" The scooter blocking your path. You realize you've seen it before. You peer at your watch. "It's 2:30. Confused, the man looks up at your face. "That's strange. It was around 2:30 when I was having lunch. Are you sure it's 2:30? There's a belligerent quality to his eyes. The second hand on your watch isn't moving. You hold your wrist up to your ear, but don't hear anything. When did it stop? You realize you haven't looked at your watch for a long time. "It's okay, thanks anyway. Hey, do you take the number 62 bus?" You're confused by his question. "I see you waiting at the bus stop, same time every day. Do you know a water strider, the insect with long skinny legs that stands on water? You remind me of one, the way you stand at the bus stop. There's a watch repair shop on the main street, and a store next door with a big sign that says Movie Town. I work there. It's right across the street from the bus stop. I guess I'll see you around." With that, he starts to putter off on the scooter. But then he yells, "It's actually 5 to 5 right now, and my name is Kang Hyungjun." While the watch repairman puts a new battery in your watch, you look out the window. Across the 4-lane street is your bus stop. "Wow, it's been a while since I've seen one of these. I used to wear the same brand myself when I was a kid. They don't make them anymore. They've come up with these ones instead. The man slides open the glass.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?